Welcome to Made for Mondays, the source for digging a little deeper into the Believers Church Sunday messages and finding ways to apply them to our daily lives. Together, let's take a deeper look and find a way to bring Mondays back
Hey everybody,
to life.
welcome to the pod. My name is Heather, and who are you fellas?
Hey there, Heather. It's me, Jamie.
Hey, I'm Doug.
Hey everyone, Joe here.
Were you excited, Doug?
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Has it been that long?
It has. Well, I haven't been here since the new setup.
yeah,
so
right.
that's been a handful
It's
of weeks now.
throwing you off.
It
So you
is.
just
Yeah.
got wigged out there for a
Yeah,
second?
no, it's very exciting. This is a very cool setup, and I think it just hit me right. It just
Okay.
like it became real, and it's very early still. So
Okay.
It is, yeah.
I think
All
my
right.
brain just woke up.
Well,
Yeah.
also, it's our birthday today.
I know.
Well,
yeah.
it was our birthday yesterday, technically. 5 years doing the Made for Mondays podcast, guys.
Amazing.
That's amazing.
Yep.
Yeah. And
Talked
we
about it for 10 years. and have done it for
talk
5.
about it
Yeah.
for a really long
Yes.
time. And then COVID is what made us
Yep.
like actually pull the trigger and start
Yep.
doing it.
Yep.
So yeah,
Awesome.
it's been a really fun ride.
So
and
another blessing from COVID.
yeah.
Yeah, the pod.
Look at that.
Just keeps
Look
on
at
giving.
that. So Jamie, your B group
Yes,
and Kimberly
Kimberly.
Payne, she's
she's the best.
yeah, she's
very
a rock star.
thoughtful.
So she's provided us all with these amazing T-shirts.
I thought you were going to introduce yourself.
Yeah, mine says the Podfather.
That's very good.
It's very nice. Yeah. I
Yeah.
appreciate it very
Yeah.
much.
So I
Heather's
have
got
the
Yours is very
podcast
retro
clothes.
looking.
Yeah,
I love that.
very
I love
cool.
it. It's
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
cute.
Ours are nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
I got the bright orange.
Right orange.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's
Blend right into the chair.
Yeah.
Can't even see
And
it.
it
really
matches your coffee
Oh, that's
cup.
Dunkin'
amazing. It
cup,
does.
yeah.
It was
There
meant
you
to be.
go.
This
It
is
was
perfect.
meant to be. I love it.
The best coffee.
Right. So here's the deal, listeners, viewers. We are going to give away a gift card.
We are?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
For our birthday, we're going to give you a gift, $250 to a winner.
What?
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's going to be an assortment of gift cards to, we talk about a lot of our favorite food
Yeah, I
places
love that.
around
That's
here.
so cool.
So we're going to give an assortment of gift cards to some of those our favorite places. But here's what you have to do. You have to share out the podcast from your favorite platform, whether that's Spotify or YouTube or however you listen. Go ahead and share it. Tag Made for Mondays. And we are going to then
You have to comment
choose-
also and say, like, this is my favorite podcast in all the world.
Tell us what, and you can even like let us know what's your favorite episode, maybe, or your favorite thing that we've talked about, whatever. But share it with at least 5 people, and then we are going to pick a winner by next Monday. We'll announce who the winner is. And then you'll be able to come either pick up your gift or we'll send it to you, whatever
That's
pretty
amazing.
great.
you do.
Yeah.
But yeah, help us like spread the word and make sure to subscribe to follow if you aren't already doing so.
Very
So
cool.
Derek's going to want to know, can he qualify for this prize, or is Derek eliminated because he's
We have a
related to
rule.
the Podfather? Sorry, Derek. I
have a
have a feeling I know the answer to this question.
Derek is Michael Corleone.
I would say, let's say that staff proper cannot win, but
100%.
staff kids can win.
Okay, there you
Nice.
go, Derek. This
Yeah.
first prize you can actually go for.
Yeah, so
My
staff
mom's going to want
kids.
to be in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
staff kids and family can win, but staff proper you cannot win.
All right, that's fair.
All right, I'll get Easton
It's
sharing.
been announced.
If Easton wins, I don't know.
18 and up, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Easton is very active on the socials.
Facebook, yeah.
Yeah. If you're old enough to have a social media account, you can win. Yeah.
Our reactions were genuine. We didn't know about this.
Yeah.
That was a surprise.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
That's our surprise. So
Awesome.
anyway, guys, what did you do this weekend? Maybe one of your favorite things or what you did this weekend could be a part of this gift prize.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
might.
maybe.
I coached soccer.
Okay, then no.
So part of it.
Go Flames.
So Ransom started playing soccer, and we had our second game. And the first game, they ended in a tie. That's what happens in soccer sometimes.
That's why soccer's so dumb.
Yeah. I set that up for you.
I know you did. Thanks
So
for
this
the-
won't be a
thanks
favorite
for the softball.
episode.
Yeah. So, but that was fun. And this game, they won really well, 6-0, or 6-1, and they just looked so strong. They were so happy. Afterwards, they took a team photo, and
Nice.
they were just so
Cool.
energetic. It was great.
Cool. Can you tell them about the bet we have going?
I
With
would love
soccer and football?
Doug would love to,
Doug-
but he
Doug-
doesn't know
I
what bet
don't
he's a part of
remember.
right now.
He has a reminder on his phone. I think it's the year
no.
2050. You have a reminder on your phone?
Is it that soccer is going to be more popular than football in America?
In America, yeah. Soccer will be more popular. Doug's
What
a
year
believer.
is it right now?
Football will be more popular than
What
football.
year is it right now, Doug?
Yeah, what year
It's
is it?
2025.
So I have some time.
Yeah, you got some
Yeah.
time.
Okay, I got some time.
Well, this is a great start promoting to all our
Yeah.
listeners.
Oh, that's good.
soccer.
Will they
Yeah.
rename American football after football becomes more popular than football?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
got to.
yeah. It's like lesser football. Yeah, it used to be football. Yeah, there's new football.
Doug calls it sports ball. So.
Oh yeah, let's change it to that sports ball. Makes me laugh every time.
That's funny.
Yeah, weekend was great. Same here. Started coaching again, baseball.
Go Yanks.
Go Yankees, yeah.
Yeah.
We're the Bronx Bombers or the Chittum Bombers. The whole league kind of hates us, kind of
Yeah,
like the
just like the real Yankees.
Just like the real Yankees. Like the other team was playing Sweet Caroline, trying to get under our skin. We were hitting them to the fence.
Nice.
Much like the real Yankees. It was fun. It was fun. Yeah. It was a good weekend. Good weekend. Had some fun with some friends, played some games, and then watched a lot of basketball.
Nice.
Yeah.
March Madness.
March
So fun.
Madness is so
So
fun.
fun.
Right
I
now.
love that, but I missed it this weekend.
Yeah.
I did not have a chance to watch, but I did see the UConn women's score. It was like 120 something to 23.
Yes.
So
Holy
good.
cow.
Oh my gosh.
Jeez. Wow.
That poor team.
Right?
I just want to be like,
That-
oh.
That's the worst.
Yeah.
They should have taken off the fourth quarter and just
I
let
mean,
the other team
Yeah,
go.
just sit everybody.
Jeez.
I don't know what to do in that situation.
That's wild.
Brutal. Brutal.
Yeah.
Jamie and I had the opportunity with some other friends. We got to go down to Charlotte with our spouses and some other friends, and we got to see Jim Gaffigan and Seinfeld,
It's amazing.
their show.
It was incredible.
Hilarious.
So much fun.
Hilarity.
Yeah, it was really good. And Bonnie had, she'd been out of town the last few weeks with her dad and stuff. So she came in Thursday night. We left Saturday morning, and the laughter did her soul good.
Oh my gosh.
It was just so good. And then we had a chance to connect with some just great friends of ours from back in our missionary days, and the Kiefers. Tom and Ann. There's several things that Tom taught me through those years that I, to this day, share regularly
Yes.
with people. So yeah, it was just super fun to be able to
That's good.
pick
Yeah.
up with them. Yeah.
It was great. I was sitting next to Bonnie, and I was just so delighted that she was like able to just laugh and laugh. And it was so great.
was
I was
great.
like, oh, I'm so glad she's just enjoying every second of this.
Yeah,
it was really good.
good.
Yep. So you guys, this last week we got to move from 1 Timothy into 2 Timothy in our
2
Bible
Timothy was so
reading
good.
challenge.
Yes.
So, anything that stood out to y'all in this book of the Bible that we're in now?
So I did have a couple things really, but one that I want to just kind of focus on. I had a chance to meet with someone last week that's just kind of going through some stuff, and part of what they said to me was that they just felt like they were experiencing spiritual opposition. And he said, like, it sounds crazy. Even when I say it out loud, it sounds kind of crazy. And he kept going through what he was facing and saying, it just feels like spiritual oppression, whatever, resistance. And so after I listened to him for a little while, I said, in part because of what I had read that day, that particular day, I read 2 Timothy 2. And I said to him, first of all, it's not crazy. And, you saying that out loud just makes me think like there's so much more of that going on than most of us realize. And the last couple verses of that chapter, Paul writing to Timothy, who's leading a church, he says to him, gently instruct those who oppose the truth. Perhaps God will change those people's hearts and they will learn the truth. Then they will come to their senses and escape from the devil's trap, for they have been held captive by him to do whatever he wants. And I just, shared with him like this, we are, whether we realize it or not, all engaged in this spiritual battle that is going on. And the people, I've said this for many, many years now, the people who are opposed to, the gospel and to Christ and, all those things, they are not our enemies. They are held captive by our enemy, and out of compassion and desire to set them free, we should be launching these rescue missions to set people free from captivity, spiritual captivity. And those who do follow Jesus can also and do also face real challenges that are not just mental, emotional, but they are also spiritual. And I just thought, what a great reminder from that letter to be made aware of, what's maybe not all that visible, but I think it's not visible, but the symptoms of it are very visible. So anyway, that was kind of what stood out to me.
Yeah, I pulled something similar with just the urgency of what we have here on earth and our mission. A lot of twos here, bear with me. 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 2. He says, "You have heard me teach things that have been confirmed by many reliable witnesses. Now teach these truths to other trustworthy people who will be able to pass them along to others." I got stuck for a minute. I'm like, wait, aren't we supposed to teach this to like as many people as we can? Why just other trustworthy people? And I think it was just more of like Paul's urgency to build disciples, and that is what we're called to do. So I think we should carry that same level of urgency to make sure our next generation and those that follow along behind us have, that we teach them well and that they're able to carry it on as well.
Yeah,
That's good. Yeah, I was reading through just kind of recapping all of it this morning and looking at chapter 1. And I've always kind of appreciated this part. In the very beginning, he's kind of in his greeting to Timothy, just trying to encourage him. And he says in verse 8, "Do not be ashamed of the testimony about our Lord or of me, his prisoner. Rather, join with me in suffering for the gospel by the power of God." And I love how he writes that. Like, don't be ashamed to talk about Jesus, this suffering servant who died on the cross. And it would have seemed like really counterintuitive back then to follow a guy who died on a cross. Like, why would you do that? Yeah. And then Paul says, but also like me, his prisoner. Like Paul's been in and out of prison for like a lot, right? And word probably travels. And I'm sure Timothy was probably getting some grief. Like, oh, your mentor, isn't he the guy that is in prison? Like, why are you doing this, man? Why are you following him? So it's such a good encouragement for Timothy just to stay true and not to lose heart, even though like, man, your Lord died on a cross and your mentor is in prison, but keep going strong. Yeah. And I wonder, like, what kind of conversations were being thrown at Timothy? Like, what kind of a ridicule or mocking was he receiving because of these things? Yeah. And was it really a struggle for him? I mean, it seems like he mentioned it, and he's pretty clear about this one thing. So maybe that's something he was like really wrestling with, and that's something he had to deal with on the regular. So I don't know, it's just really good insight into like what Timothy was probably going through. Yeah. And for us today to kind of meditate on that too.
Oh, that's so good. It probably goes hand in hand with the verse I just shared there in chapter 2 with, that counterintuitive, like it was not that much time has passed before Jesus, and Paul's locked in prison here, so he's probably has that level of urgency there to encourage Timothy to, build those disciples.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yep. Good stuff, guys. All right. Well, this week we continued our Let Them Eat series, and Doug, you brought us a message on holiness.
It was so good.
And nothing makes any of us more holy than a roundabout. I mean, nothing.
Yeah, I cussed at someone just this morning on the roundabout.
This morning, somebody did the last minute version.
Yeah, me too.
Okay,
Yeah. Same with
so
me.
I was going to ask, what is your most memorable or worst experience on a roundabout? Jamie, yours this morning. Anyone else?
I just, people who, I think, I don't want to call anyone out.
Okay.
You know, I don't want to speak
You don't want to shame
poorly.
anyone.
I don't want to shame anybody.
No, that's not in your
Roundabout shame.
character.
No, but if you can't follow the arrows in that circle, there is
That are
something wrong with you.
painted on
Yes.
the road and on the signage.
I used to say it's idiot proof, but it clearly is not, because there's some obstinate idiots out there. So anyway, that's mine.
Yeah,
Anyone else?
I was behind a car this morning, and it was funny because I'm behind this car, and I'm like, oh, this is ironic. 'Cause
And
I
you
just
can
talked about
always
this.
tell.
In the back of my mind, I'm like, I know they're going to merge. So I kept
Right.
a 2-car distance between us. And sure enough, at the very last second where that dotted line hits, just a quick merge,
Yep.
no turn signal, no
Nope.
nothing.
Right.
Nope.
I was like, I knew it was going to happen. So.
Yeah. Remember one time you got stuck on the circle?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say that's my favorite moment. Jeremy, how many times did we loop that? Do you remember?
A dozen.
Yeah, so Jeremy was riding right next to me, hiding because he couldn't be in the camera shot, and he was like, "Just let's do one more." They're still trying to get the drone up. Let's do one more, one more for this. We gotta keep going.
Just looping around.
We did like at least a dozen, right?
Did you get dizzy?
I was so worried that cops were going to show up because like we were there a little bit too long where now they're like, okay, something's actually happening. We need to call somebody. So it was very fun.
Oh, it was such a great way to kick off the service too. With that roundabout being right here beside the building, everybody in the room was like just picturing themselves going through that particular roundabout.
Yeah, we have the big roundabout, but then we have this little roundabout,
Yeah.
right outside our building. And that one
even.
especially when we first moved in here,
Oh yeah.
semis would come down here and like take it out, like just drive right across it, like
Yeah.
it's not even there.
Yeah.
And so all of the landscaping
Yeah.
in the middle of it would just be tore up all of the time.
See, Jamie, you seem to think that the rules of the big roundabout over there are pretty obvious to see.
They are.
They
I
are
think they
obvious,
are.
Joey.
I know they are, but still, there's a bunch of different routes you can go. This one right here, the smaller one. How do you mess that up?
That is true.
People are still.
Yeah.
Just, I'm like, that is wild. My memorable moment is also right here on the big roundabout, and mine's more. Man, that roundabout also gives you some conviction because I have that same mindset y'all have going into that. These people, I'm giving them space because they're going to do it, and then they just go right about their business. They were in the right lane, and they're just going off to work, and I'm like, oh, now I feel bad.
Yeah. The few times they know I'm actually supposed to be in
they
this lane.
actually were in the right lane. Now I feel bad. So that roundabout gives all the emotions.
Oh man.
Yeah, man, it's a wide spectrum of feelings for sure.
So Doug, you use this illustration of the roundabout to really bring us to this more thought-provoking, more important lesson for us to think about our blind spots.
Yeah.
So I just thought it would be great. This is one of our talk about it questions, and we have these available to everybody every single week. We put them in our message notes. So a lot of our B groups use these, but these are great questions even to have just around your lunch table. Doug, I know you use these a lot with students too.
Oh yeah,
for
it's
your
around the Coffee with Jesus group afterwards. Yeah.
yeah. So this is one of our questions this week. How do you typically become aware of blind spots in your life, and how might fasting help identify these blind spots? So I was wondering what you guys think about this.
Yeah, this has been a really big one for me lately. It's weird. I was talking with a good friend of mine while we were hiking a couple weeks ago, and just trying to process I'm 41, and I feel like God is revealing things in my life that I never thought of in a certain way, and it's almost like a new, fresh way of looking at things. And at first, I was like, man, it's really concerning, and kind of I felt really defeated in a lot of areas because I was like, why didn't I notice this before? Why didn't I see it like it is before? And almost beat myself up, in a really bad way. I was talking with a good friend, and he was like, maybe God shows up at different times for a reason. He's revealing this to you right now because maybe you're ready to see it. And maybe you saw it in the past, but you didn't see it in the same way that you see it right now. And it was amazing. It was just a bit of wisdom that I needed so desperately. And in that moment, I almost broke down. And I was like, man, that's exactly what I needed to hear. And so insightful and so encouraging, but also permission to even now to look at my life and to see things that God is trying to work on, and to know that's actually healthy and that's good. To be in a place where, man, I'm able to spot something that I didn't notice last year or the last 10 years, and I can try to work through it. And that's good.
Yeah.
Instead of seeing it as like, oh man, I'm such a failure, what if I saw it as, oh no, God's still willing to help guide me?
Yeah.
And that's a really, really good place to be.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I answered the question, but like that's the journey I've been on like the last year maybe. And even like recently, like really hitting it pretty heavy and just really trying to meditate on that and to be okay when God opens my eyes to something that maybe I assume I should have saw previously, but maybe now is the right time to see it and to work on it and deal with it and let God strengthen me through it.
Right.
Yeah, so good. I think I've shared it on the podcast before, but I've been on like a several years now journey of how I personally hear from God, and used to play the comparison game with the people in my life here at church on the impact teams I'm involved with and my groups and stuff that I believed hear directly from God, and that's a thing to be pretty envious about. I want that in my life, and wondering why I wasn't receiving like direct word from God in prayer and everything, and realized this whole time, man, God is putting people in my life. He is speaking through other people to me. And where that's taken my spiritual life is so good. So to answer the question, like that is where I become aware of my blind spots is through other people. I believe God speaks through other people to me. So the people close to me and even the conversations I have on Sunday in the Commons, I believe God's speaking to me through that. But the fasting in particular, Lauren shared a couple weeks ago, man, I don't know that I've ever been a part of a series that dove this deep into a topic like fasting. And that's true. I don't know that I have either. So it has certainly created space. While I love the community and how they help me reveal my blind spots and how to work through them, the fasting in particular is making space for God to work one-on-one with me to reveal things like my blind spots. So it's been a cool journey for sure.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, I think, on the fasting side, like how does fasting help reveal blind spots? I think for me, what's been interesting, even this particular fast, so like, certain commitments that I've made for what I'm going to do to observe the fast, and just little bits of like opportunities for compromise that have come along, and I've played some mental gymnastics with some of it, and I don't know, like it's revealing something in me that I'm willing to kind of walk close to lines, and I think God's even using that, just that little thing in me to say, like, this is just one aspect of your life where you make commitments to the Lord, and are you willing to hedge on those things? Yeah. And it's kind of tested my resolve and my commitment, and it's been really good.
I love hearing that too, because you said you started this particular fasting season with not focusing so much on the health benefits that you had before.
Yeah, that's been part of this fast for me, and I'll talk about that a little bit this week. But I've fasted for many years, but I have taken a primarily kind of. It's been during spiritual seasons, but it's been primarily focused on physical things for me. So it's been good.
That's good.
Well, John Mark Comer actually says that what health is to the body, holiness is to the soul. By that, I mean your whole person. So how do you guys think that statement helps us better understand, maybe even apply Paul's words in our series memory verse from Romans 12:1? And just as a reminder, that verse says, "And so, dear brothers and sisters, I plead with you to give your bodies to God because of all he has done for you. Let them be a living and holy sacrifice, the kind he will find acceptable. This is truly the way to worship him." So again, just how does that statement that John Mark Comer said, what health is to the body, holiness is to the soul, by that I mean your whole person. How does that help us apply that verse to our lives?
Yeah, I love how it makes holiness something that's practical to everybody, because everybody desires health, like emotional and mental and spiritual health. Yeah. So I think that's like really cool. I think it lowers the playing field a bit, and that's something that anybody can step into. Whereas like the idea of growing in holiness can seem so, so difficult and like difficult to wrap around my mind what it looks like daily. But for this, it's like, to look at my whole self and to ask myself, like, emotionally and mentally and spiritually and physically and all the things, am I moving towards health? Like, and even we have a series coming up about the fruits of the Spirit.
Yep.
Like, am I growing in these areas? Am I finding myself more patient and more joyful and more peaceful and all of these things that the fruits of the Spirit are trying to build in my life? And if I can identify those things, man, it helps me to really give those parts over to God to see those areas growing as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I've loved the first 2 weeks of this series because I know the teaching team had to wrestle a little bit because there's so many different areas or people and listening to our sermon in different walks in their own spiritual journey. So, and fasting can be like a very spiritual, very mature thing to walk through. So I think yesterday for you to take a word like holiness and relate it to, wherever you're at in your spiritual walk, like that's something we do desire, that spiritual soul health. It was very good, Doug. Love that part.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about it again a little bit this week, but yeah, I think we do have that tendency to like compartmentalize our lives in those ways, where we think about how am I doing spiritually? How am I doing emotionally?
Yeah.
How am I doing physically? And, we don't get to pick and choose what parts of us that we're working on. We are complete beings, and the health of one impacts the health of the other, impacts the health of the other. So yeah, to put them all in a cup without dividers, is
good.
just so helpful, I think.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So Doug, you moved us into verse 2. So that was Romans 12:1. But you also moved us into verse 2, and Paul develops the idea of growing in holiness into some practical action steps. So what does it look like for people to copy the behaviors of the world? And how does that look different for the follower of, or how should it look different for the follower of Jesus?
Yeah, I think it's the dilemma. We live in the world. We're surrounded by the world. I mean, obviously, right? And we're constantly being influenced by the people around us and the influences we have, whether it's like social media or media or what we read and what we just like take in through watching and listening in all the areas. So we just have to check where our influences are coming from. And I love this passage because it starts by doing something like worship God with your whole body. And it's like, all right, what does that look like? And then he says, like, yeah, don't be influenced by the world, but be influenced by God and draw close to him and let him transform the way that you think. And that's the beginning of it, right? If I can look at how I think about the world around me and let God transform the way that I think, then my actions are going to follow, and that the way I treat people will follow that.
Yeah.
But I have to identify what those influences are. So, even in my own life, like to look at the things that I'm listening to, how influential are those things?
Yeah.
And to be willing to let go of some things and adopt new things and change things around. The thing I love about fasting is you let go of something so you can replace it with something else. And I think that's that training process. That's when God changes the way that you think.
Yeah.
Even abstaining from food, I'm able to replace it with dedicated times of prayer. And that's like really focused God reworking the way that my brain works. That's why I like the regular fasting. I think it's so powerful.
Yeah.
If we do it seasonally, I'm going to have a really good lead up to Easter. But like the rest of the year, I'm kind of falling back into those other influences.
Yeah, for sure.
Habits.
Yeah, those habits to remove something and replace it with something much better.
Yeah.
Is that reworking?
Yeah, I started listening. I was telling you the other day, I started listening to the newest John Eldridge book.
Oh, yeah.
Experience Jesus Really.
Yeah, that's good.
Is the title of the book. And part of the premise of the book is that we are disciples of the internet. Because we've been so influenced, like we're not even aware. To your point, we're not even aware of the influence of it on us, but it's shaping everything, including like he gives the example of, I can type in, a search, hit enter, and in 0.3 seconds have 30 million responses. And he said that like that's kind of moved over into our spiritual world where we pray and expect God to instantly reply to our prayers. And if he doesn't, where in ages past, waiting on the Lord itself was a virtue, but we don't even know how to wait because we've become disciples of the internet. And he also makes the case that we need to be like amphibious, where we live in this world, but we need to we need to be able to function here and live in his world simultaneously, like an amphibian, can be in the water and out of the water.
Yeah.
We need to be able to be in this world and equally comfortable in the kingdom. Just super helpful to think about it in those terms.
Yeah, that's so good.
So we are being discipled all of the time. The question isn't, am I a disciple of Jesus, or the question really is, who am I a disciple of?
Yeah.
And reframing that, I think, is just super helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like your comment about the internet just being like this instant resource. The Bible Project guys were talking about the garden, and when Eve ate the fruit, they said the sin wasn't necessarily pride, it was a fear of scarcity.
Yeah.
She was afraid that if I don't eat this fruit, is God really going to give me that
Right.
wisdom that I seek? And God is saying, don't eat it because let me be your source of wisdom.
Yes.
And then
That's so good.
like maybe eventually I'll let you eat the tree, but you're not ready
Yeah.
for it yet, right?
Yeah.
So the
That's
fear,
so good,
the fear
yeah.
was like, is God going to follow through?
Yeah.
And with the internet, right, I can get this instant feedback, and my fear is like, what if I'm waiting on God, and what if He doesn't deliver?
Right.
That's in the time frame I want.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel that sense of urgency in that, where waiting is a solid discipline, the patience, right?
Yeah.
It's a discipline that we tend to take for granted.
Yeah, for
oh man,
sure.
it's so sad.
That even goes back to like what you were saying about like your blind spot and like just trusting God and the timing with that. Like when you were sharing that, I was thinking back to even when, and Nate and I have shared this before, but like Nate, infidelity is a part of our marriage story. And I knew that this was happening in our marriage several years before Nate actually told me about it. And had Nate actually told me about it when I knew about it, I would have walked away from our marriage then. And like, for sure. I mean, I would have, in the circumstance when I found out about it, like I would have told him to stay where he was. He could have just stayed there, and I would have just been like, that's fine. This is done, and you just go about your business. I'll go about mine. But instead, the circumstances were that he like came back, and I decided to like trust what he was telling me, and we went like few years of just getting involved at Believers. We just found groups. We saw like our individual lives just come closer and closer to the Lord. Together we were growing in our walk with Jesus. We had another child, like all of this stuff. And then Nate told me, then he came clean and told me about like what had happened back in the day. And it was like, I knew that night when he told me, like, that was the thing that I had to wait to know.
Yeah. The timing.
Because then the Lord was going to restore it. Like, I didn't know what it was going to look like. I knew it was going to be super messy. It was going to be super hard. But I knew that I had to wait to know the truth. Because then I was ready.
Yeah.
So I think that whole waiting thing, whether it's blind spots or we just have to trust.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's such a good thing, that the need for the instant response.
Yeah.
We just have to lay that down
Yeah.
Yeah.
and be willing to let the Lord's timing
Right.
work.
Yeah.
Because there's some maturing that he might want to do in us, or there's something else that he's working out in someone else, that he's growing or getting us ready for, or even in the Eve situation, like what you were saying, like he's just wanting to teach you something else in the meantime so that you can get ready for the abundance that's coming. It's there. All through scripture, we're seeing like, plant this and then let it grow, and then the harvest, and then let it rest, and then plant and then harvest and let it rest. It's like this rhythm that we're supposed to be in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love that.
I love you sharing that too, Heather, because God's timing, the advice you can get in that can often feel like cliche, and sometimes we have to experience that ourselves before we fully believe it. So for, to hear, like that's what we're called to do, right? Use our own stories to help others. So to hear that, and it really does feel, you feel it. You feel God's timing.
Yeah.
So, Doug, you then moved us through Psalm 139, and this was just so impactful and what I love too is King David just starting with how amazing God is and focusing on God's holiness and not focusing on himself, because we can tend to do that. When we go to God, we're just like, hey, help me out, and not remembering like who he is and who, like, I don't just want to be holy because I want to be holy. Like, I want to be holy because you are holy, and I want to look like you. And so through that, you kind of walked us through these steps of revealing what's in our heart, reordering our desires, drawing on God's power to overcome sin. And so I'm just want to talk a little bit about how does David's vulnerability show us that prayer coupled with fasting invites God to teach us how to see the blind spots in our lives.
Yeah, so I was reading a commentary on this passage. I knew I wanted to use it. Like, I love the way that David closes it out. And the commentary was saying in the beginning, he's talking about God being all-knowing. And he said, I don't think David's teaching us theology. I think he's teaching us God's character and who he is. And the commentator said he's building God up to be the perfect judge. And at the end, David presents himself to be a really bad judge. Like, I can't judge my own heart. Like, I'm bad at that, right? I'm following my own path and things lead to destruction. So God is this perfect judge, and then he invites God to be his judge at the end instead of him being his own judge, if that makes sense, right? Yeah. And I thought that was a really powerful rhythm. And when you read that psalm, there's some parts in the middle that are actually kind of difficult. Like he says, God, help me to hate your enemies, help me to destroy your enemies and all that. And I think in this middle place, David is wrestling with, am I doing okay, God? This is the way I'm responding. This is your enemy and I want to destroy them. Is that okay? Can you search my heart? Can you test my anxious thoughts? Can you speak into my life and reveal to me the things that I can't see? So for David, it's this like really vulnerable place. And the progression of it, it's really helpful, because if I start with the end, God, search my heart, but I don't truly believe that God is the perfect judge, then it's almost just like an idle prayer. I'm going to pray it, but am I going to follow it? But if I start with the God's character, who God is, then it helps me to lead into, hey, these are my anxious thoughts. Is that okay? And if it's not, could you show me so that I can work on this? And at the end, there's just like really humbled, really difficult prayer that allows God to search us. And that progression I thought was like just really compelling. I was like, oh man, David was a genius in like writing this poem that displays God's awesomeness and then invites that awesomeness to be a part of his life as well.
Yeah, he also spoke on how God was all present as well. And I think with fasting and through prayer in our fasting season, we make room to see that he's not only present, he's there to guide us in that presence. And then, Doug, you said something yesterday, God, allow me to be ready for you. I know you're ready for me. Yeah. That was so good and so thought-provoking that, I think we miss that sometimes. Am I ready to receive? And that's so good.
Yeah. And that really is that prayer at the end. Just, God, help me to be ready. I say I'm ready, but am I really? And that closing prayer. It is.
It's such a bold prayer.
Oh, and I think that's where that waiting happens. And Heather, thank you so much for sharing your experience in that, because I think that's where that happens too. Like, am I ready now? And if I'm not, can you make me ready? Maybe in a year,
right?
In 6 months, in a month, like whatever that looks like. But to get me in that place where when this thing is ready to go down, I'm ready to respond in a good way.
Yeah.
And I think that's that difficult process, but it's kind for us. I think it's a level of kindness and compassion, because he knows what we can handle and when we can't handle something. Can you imagine if God just like showed us everything at day one? It'd be overwhelming, right? There's no way.
Right.
So there's a level of kindness and compassion there, I think, as God guides us on that journey.
Yep, so definitely. So when we consider the Romans passage, along with the Psalm 139 passage, it can sometimes be tempting, at least for me, to start thinking of someone else and not even start thinking of me. Like, oh, it'd be really great if so-and-so would start applying some of this to their life. You know what I mean? So how do we just not do that? Like, how do we encourage others on their journey in looking more like Jesus without becoming critical and without and also allow the Lord to just be changed, to stay focused on this is something that I need to be applying to my own life. This fasting is this is for me and Jesus. This isn't something that I should be focused on. Wonder how Doug's doing in his journey with fasting. Joey, are you fasting and doing what you should do? But I want to encourage, you're my brothers in Christ. I want to be encouraging in this. But also, this is a time that this is for me. This is for Heather. This is Heather's journey with Jesus. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So what are y'all's thoughts on that?
Yeah. It is good. And like you said, part of the journey is communal, but not communal in the sense that I'm monitoring you, right?
Yeah.
We're all on a journey together, which I do think there's some power in that. That my spiritual journey is not a solo thing; it's a communal thing, and yet my primary focus is me first, as far as my examination of my own heart, my own motives, and I don't know, how do you make sure that you do that? I'm not 100% sure, but I think humility is such a big piece of that, to recognize, I mean, first of all, that I do have blind spots that I am unaware of. And so therefore, I can't sit in a seat of judgment because I'm not even fully aware of all of the things in my own life that if I'm unaware of them, I am unaware of them. So I don't have full knowledge of what's going on in my own heart, which is part of how do you learn about your blind spots? Well, part of that is this communal journey. Trusted friends who can point that out for you, in a loving, kind way. But I think humility is just a big piece of this, to recognize that I certainly don't have it all together. So who am I to make sure that everyone around me has it all together? And I think in humility, I can stay focused on what is God doing in me at this time.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I think it's that come and see mentality as well.
Yeah.
The friend that I mentioned earlier that shared that wisdom with me that really helped me out, he's been fasting regularly for a while now. And he was sharing in a way that wasn't bragging or wasn't look at me. It was more so come and see. See what God has been doing in my life. And it was so attractive. I was why am I not doing that?
Yeah.
Because it sounds what I want.
Yeah.
And I see the results of it. And it's almost have you ever seen those infomercials that seem too good to be true? And you're I just want to see somebody use it before I buy it.
Right.
Can you use the ShamWow and show me how well it can clean before I feel the need to spend money on myself? Yeah. And when you see somebody else doing that, you're oh yeah, no, it works. Cool. And God is working in their life. And I see this and I want to be a part of that. So
there's more.
If I do it now, I get prayer thrown in as well. And it's compelling in that way. So I'm going to follow somebody else who's doing it, and there's results and there's fruit, and they can be my guide and help me through it. It's not blindly walking through it. It's when Jesus says, the disciples are not greater than their teacher, but one day you'll be like your teacher.
Yes.
You're going to follow a mentor, and then one day you're going to learn from them so much that you will be the teacher leading somebody else. Yeah. It's this really good discipleship. I'm not supposed to do it by myself. I'm supposed to find somebody who is well-versed in it so I can follow them and then be well-versed myself so that I can lead somebody else with me too.
Yeah.
And I think that you can do that in a way that's not bragging. So when Jesus says don't be on the street corner saying, "Oh, look how hungry I am!
Right.
I haven't eaten in 4 days. Look how cool I am."
That's
it's
that's
a
the
good
teacher I was thinking of.
Yeah.
How are we supposed to encourage one another when we're taught not to? Not to. I think it's a hard check, like you said. It's a great question. It's tied all to humility, but At the same time, I think there's room for encouragement in that, and the conversations we've had around it in my small group have been so good. And like, I wouldn't want to interpret that part of Scripture as I can't speak on this journey that I'm on. Like the encouragement's been too good through it.
Yeah. That passage. There was actually someone recently who there was some food out and available, and I was like, oh man, that looks so good, but I can't right now. And the person asked, why not? And I was about to answer, and then I think it clicked for them, and they're like, no, you don't say anything.
Oh wow!
So like taking that Matthew 6 passage, to the end, like don't let anyone know.
Yeah.
But that's all about prayer, generosity, fasting. Don't do that in a way that exalts yourself. That's the whole point of that. Because in other passages, Paul is telling the church, hey, get your money together because I'm coming. In the early church, when they fasted, like every Wednesday and Friday, they were all fasting together. Like they didn't have to ask, "Oh, are you fasting?" They were all doing it.
Yeah.
So it's not about like don't mention that you are. It's don't do it in a way that's exalting yourself. Like that has the opposite effect. The whole effect is to increase our dependence on Jesus
And to glorify.
Him, not to make ourselves look pious and great.
Right.
So don't use it in a way that's self-aggrandizing. Look how spiritual I am.
And if you're encouraging,
But if you're encouraging one another in the practice, then that's we're supposed to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah, because like if everybody fasted and prayed in isolation, like nobody would know how to do it.
Right.
Where am I going to learn?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Very good. All right. Well, we're continuing this series, Let Them Eat, this Sunday as we inch closer to Easter. So we hope that you will join us at 9 or 10:45 right here on campus and bring some friends with you.
Yes.
We would love to see them.
Yep.
You can also join us at 1 o'clock on our YouTube channel. And we are very excited to be in this Easter season, and we would love to have you be a part of all things Easter in Harborview, and you can get all of those details on our app and website. Just check out our events tab. And we hope to... Were you going to say something?
I was just going to say, don't forget about the birthday contest.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
share, and tag us, and we will announce the winner this next Monday right here on the pod. Until then, go and be love. We'll see you next time, friends.